Washington, D.C., January 5th, 2026. If this dramatic capture turns into a movie, the big thrill might not be the explosions or helicopters. It could be all about timing. Just hours before U.S. forces struck, a Chinese delegation wrapped up a high-level meeting with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in Caracas. Then, before the sun came up, he was grabbed. For Beijing, this isn't just a simple diplomatic mess. It's like a bold warning. When catching leaders becomes a tool in world power games, will the next pressured dictator still trust all-weather friends and secure phones? President Trump revealed key details about Maduro's arrest in a social media post and a Fox News interview on January 3rd. Explosions and airstrikes rocked Venezuela's capital, Caracas, early that day. Trump announced a large-scale strike by U.S. forces. Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, were captured and removed from the country. In the interview, Trump described the scene. He was in a building that's more like a fortress than a house. It had steel doors and a safe room made of solid steel plates. He tried to get inside, but our guys rushed him so fast he couldn't make it. U.S. media reports say the CIA provided the intelligence. Delta Force special operators carried out the grab. Starting last August, a small U.S. team secretly gathered data on Maduro's routines. This prep work made the operation go smoothly. Trump then declared from Mar-a-Lago that the U.S. would temporarily take over Venezuela until a safe power handover happens. He said, "We want the great Venezuelan people to have peace, freedom, and justice. This includes many Venezuelans now in the U.S. who dream of going home. It's their homeland. We can't let people who ignore their well-being take control. We've suffered from this for decades. It won't happen again." The U.S. Joint Chiefs Chairman, General Dan Kane, called the mission Operation Absolute Resolve. It was covert and precise, launching in the darkest hours of January 2nd after months of planning and drills. Kane explained, over 150 planes took part, flying from bases across the Western Hemisphere in tight coordination. Trump gave the final go-ahead at 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time on January 2nd. U.S. troops reached Maduro's hideout at 1:01 a.m. on January 3rd. They moved quickly, sealed off the area, and protected ground teams. Helicopters faced fire and shot back. One was hit but kept flying. By 3:29 a.m., Maduro and his wife were aboard a plane. All U.S. aircraft returned safely. Kane added, "We might get tasked with missions like this again." This comment worries Beijing. Dictators don't fear empty threats. They fear when foes turn these ops into routine procedures. The timing stings for China. Maduro's fall means his regime is done. Venezuelans cheered in the streets. The story exploded online in Chinese communities. The main punchline? Maduro had just met Xi Jinping's envoy, Caillou Xiaoqi, and embassy staff. They reportedly signed hundreds of deals. Chinese netizens joked, "Envoy arrives, location exposed." The meeting's convoys, communications, and beefed-up security might have spotlighted the target for U.S. forces. Others quipped, "Signed 600 agreements, all void by dawn." Local Venezuelans noted, during the U.S. night raid, Venezuela's anti-air defenses barely fired. Those systems came from China. One user dug up a Sohu report from October 6, 2025. It said on October 4th, Venezuela's defense minister Lopez claimed their defenses spotted a U.S. F-35 stealth fighter. Experts credited China's JY-27 anti-stealth radar for the lock-on. Another hot topic in Chinese circles, Huawei phones. Maduro once boasted about Huawei's secure communications. Now, mocks call it a tracker. Why? China promotes independent tech, safe and controlled. But when allies fail, critics flip the script. You claim it's the safest? How did it get snatched overnight? The phone tracking debate became symbolic. It hurts more than facts. It turns Beijing's boasts into punchlines. It makes allies wary. Next time, dare they use it, meet up, or sign deals? The U.S. captures Maduro news has split the world. The U.S. repeats. Maduro was indicted in New York in 2020 for narco-terrorism and more. He'll stand trial. Reactions divided fast. In Latin America, Colombia, Chile, Brazil, Mexico, and Uruguay stressed sovereignty and international law. They fear escalation and oppose unilateral military moves. But Argentina's president, Milei and Ecuador's President Noboa praised it as a blow to drug lord regimes. In Europe, the EU monitors closely and urges restraint for a peaceful transition. The UK, Spain, France, and Germany echo: respect international law, avoid further heat. Russia, China, and Iran condemned it sharply. UN Secretary General Guterres warned of a dangerous precedent. China's spot is toughest. It must defend sovereignty and criticize the US, but it struggles to explain why so many worldwide celebrate, even seeing it as a wake-up call for dictators. Trump slammed Venezuela's oil sector as a long-time failure. He said, "We'll send our massive US oil companies, the world's biggest, into Venezuela. They'll invest billions to fix the damaged infrastructure, especially oil facilities, and start generating profits for the nation." This US involvement could erase China's long-term investments in Venezuela. Writer and commentator Xiang Yang teased, "Chairman Xi, your ironclad friend and all-weather strategic partner Maduro and his wife are now on a US military plane. Reminder, you've loaned over $100 billion to Venezuela, over 40% of China's total lending to Latin America." Clearly, for communist control aims, China has squandered its people's hard-earned money multiple times. Why? With a regime change, old loans, oil for debt swaps, and infrastructure pacts could face review or cancellation. If the US dives into energy, special prices, payments, and channels get crowded out. Beijing fears most not losing a pal, but losing a route to bypass sanctions and the dollar for oil. It's not just a diplomatic loss, it's a supply line risk. Meanwhile, Maduro's capture hits as Iran reels from economic collapse and protests. Rumors say Supreme Leader Khamenei might flee Tehran. Iran's regime wobbles. This ups risks for oil-hungry China. Venezuela stands for South America's oil barrel, Iran for Middle East's oil vault. If both ignite, it's read as China's anti-US energy backups crumbling. The story's climax isn't the capture. It's the question, who's next? It may not mean real action yet, but it's a mental jolt. It forces regimes tied tight to China and fearing the US to rethink. Is hitching to Beijing protection or a death sentence? In the end, Maduro's live capture is a sharp twist for Venezuela's regime. For the world, it's a tear in global order. For Beijing, it's a public stress test. Can you protect allies? If not, safeguard investments? If those fail, hold on to the narrative that we're the most reliable backup. What troubles China's leaders most might not be oil fields, contracts, or the envoy's embarrassment. It's the man en route to New York. In court, at the bargaining table, will he spill insider-only deals, routes, kickbacks, and proxies for a sliver of leniency?